Hello, Small Biz David here, and welcome. Welcome to day 4 of National Small Business Week. National Small Business Week is a designation by the Small Business Administration. Their website is sba.gov, G-O-V, sba.gov. Write that down because that's one of the websites that I want you to go to uh, after we are concluded for many reasons. Reason number one is you can get a complete listing of all the events that are happening in National Small Business Week at the national level. They are in New York City today. Each day of the week, they have been in another city. They will end up in Washington tomorrow. And I believe the president is involved with some of the happenings for National Small Business Week. And also, the other reason why you need to put sba.gov in your frequently visited websites is because it is the most comprehensive website for small business. At one time, there was over 4,000 pages of information about small business on their website. I have no idea how many pages there are today. I don't know if they cut out some pages, added pages, but one thing you can rest assured that when you go to their website, you will get good information about small business. National Small Business Week is one of 2 weeks a year that I get personally excited about in terms of my business. The other week is Global Entrepreneurship Week, which is always the second week in November, and of which I have been what do they call me? A distinguished partner is what they call me. That certificate right there is for 2014. And it's because I get involved, I do things, I have events, I post the events I'm having. And actually, I'm probably one of the few business entities involved in the week that is totally online with the events that we have. I mean, that's what my business model is, and that's what we do. So there's Global Entrepreneurship Week, National Small Business Week. If you have been following the events so far this week, and I have to do some postings from yesterday, but I've had I've had 5 outstanding members of our community share their small business experiences with us, as well as what is actually going on in their business and how one might collaborate with each one of those small business owners in working with one another to move each other's businesses forward, and as a combined entity, creating a new entity in the marketplace, offering assistance to other small businesses. It's a pretty interesting, simple concept, small business collaboration. And my friends, it is the future of small business in this country. Just the concept of, there's so many of us who are solopreneurs, meaning basically we are one people operations. And so we can't do everything that needs to be done in our business. The key for us moving forward in our business is partnering, establishing a collaboration with another individual who has the same type of challenges you have, because they are a solopreneur in their business. What a segue into introducing our guest today, who is a collaborative partner of mine. And we have communication almost every day, 7 days a week, don't we, Vivek?
Yes, we do.
Wow. And two comments I'd like to make. Number one, Vivek is geographically located in the United Kingdom, in England. And so he actually is celebrating National Small Business Week, which is a United States celebration. He's celebrating it with me because he can't really celebrate it in the UK. Number one. And number two, there's another phenomenon that is happening with business. And Vivek and I clearly demonstrate that. The fact that Google Plus is a 24/7 worldwide operation, we have an opportunity to collaborate, work with folks from other countries, other cultures, and it's a interesting phenomenon that certainly was not easily available to me when I first started my first business over 40 years ago. But today, it is an important strategy of mine, working with folks like Vivek from different countries around the world. The other challenge that we have, is that Vivek, living in the United Kingdom, he is 5 hours ahead of me in time. So we have video chats at very strange times sometime. Actually, we have quite a few video chats that start at 3:00 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And that's on my time. That's because I'm ready to go at 3:00 in the morning. It's just part of my lifestyle. And Vivek, it works out well for him because it's truly the beginning of his workday in the UK. And he doesn't get up at 3:00 in the morning like I do, because he stays up till 3:00 in the morning, probably in his time zone. So he needs to have some sleep sometimes. But we have a very wonderful small business collaboration. And I want to share that with you because there's many, many lessons to be learned. Vivek, and thank you for taking time out of your schedule to share your expertise, specifically as an engineer and developer, with special focus. And I say special focus because you, and I'm saying this, you don't say this to me, but I'm saying it to you, that of all the folks that I interact with on inside of Google Plus, and I do interact with a lot of folks, you have an unusual, unique understanding of the how and why Google technology exists for small business and how to best apply that to a business strategy such as mine. And that's what I'd like to do today, is explore some of my strategic objectives as a business and how you used Google technology to help me achieve those objectives from a very efficient manner, cost-effective manner, and just a time-saving resource. And by the way, I would be remiss if I didn't mention that Vivek and I just about a half hour ago completed an HOA where he was the host, and he was talking about what he was doing in his business and using me as a panelist and as a case study, because it was about 3 or 4 months ago, longer than that now, that Vivek said to me, "Okay, small biz, David, if you want to achieve some of these business objectives that you have shared with me, it is my recommendation, without hesitation, to get involved in Google Apps for Work. And as we develop the different applications for your business, it'll become evident to you very easily, very early, of why we made this decision." So, Vivek, what I'd like to do today is to, rather than me necessarily say, "Okay, here's the application and here's what I'm doing," I think I'd rather have you say, "Okay, David, here's the 5 most important Google apps that you are using. Here's why I recommended them. Here's what they are doing for your business today." Of course, you're going to include Google Sites. And at that point, we will take a quick look at the 2 sites that you developed, dreamingwithentrepreneurs.com. And we made the strategic business decision to actually host my video book on a Google site. And when we get to the site and Vivek shows you what we did, it'll become very evident to you, I'm sure, that, wow, that is an interesting way to market, to sell, to do the things that you're trying to do with your book. And then, Vivek, one of the things that I want to do for the community, for the Dreaming with Entrepreneurs and Google Plus community, is to develop a directory where we list, and for some folks, this is an announcement. Many folks have heard it. It's not the first time I've mentioned it, but we are going to publish a directory of any member in the community who wants to participate in this directory. So Vivek is going to develop a form, and he'll talk a little bit about that, of what he's doing. And anybody who wants to participate in this directory, and why wouldn't you? You're going to be able to market your business and you. Why wouldn't you want to participate? It's not going to cost you anything. Plus, it'll make the community stronger when we have that kind of information available to anybody. And once this directory gets in place, I will market this directory not only inside of Google, but I will market this directory outside of Google to show people that listings for you and our members do all the various things that they do. So I'd like to talk about that concept a little bit, Vivek, and you can explain what's on your mind and where you want to go with it, and how we will execute that. And I think that'll probably be enough discussion for today. So why don't you list or talk about the 5 applications that I use, why you recommended those, and what do you see as happening with my business today because we are using those applications?
Okay. First one probably is your email. Email which carries your brand. Instead of using the free version of Gmail that is available, which goes with the Google's brand, because it would say, you would not be able to use David F Leopold. There probably are lots of other David Leopolds. At least there is one which you mentioned.
Yeah, and the guy's been trying to steal my identity on the internet for 4 years now, 5 years now. No, he's a. I've actually not personally met him. We've had an interchange. He's an immigration attorney in Cleveland, Ohio, and he does a wonderful job of marketing. Wonderful job of marketing.
So, yeah, he probably also thinks that you are trying to steal his identity. So it's names are when names are same, that's the problem. The only thing which would distinguish you from the other person is probably your branding, which is what you went for when you went for Google Apps for Work. You branded your email with the your email address is, as you know, david@dreamingwithentrepreneurs.com instead of david something at gmail.com, which is the major difference. The second aspect I would say that you have used is the YouTube account and the associated Google Plus channel, Google Plus profile, etc., associated with your brand.
Okay, let me stop you for a moment. I haven't done something that you've wanted me to do for a long, long time. I don't know that it'll ever get done because we are doing things a little bit differently today. Right or wrong, probably wrong. I have 3 YouTube channels, and
yeah,
they each serve a purpose. I probably should have integrated them. Not probably. I somehow should have integrated them because I have 800 YouTubes, literally 800 about entrepreneurship and small business. And there's a Small Biz David channel. There's a David F Leopold channel. And quite honestly, I'm not sure. I guess the other channel is Dreaming with Entrepreneurs, I guess. Well, because we established that channel when we built dreamingwithentrepreneurs.com. So I have 3 channels in my mind. They have 3 totally different purposes. So the important thing is that the channels are out there, and every day 25 to 30 people view one of my YouTubes and on one of the 3 channels, and that's why they're out there. But I haven't done a great job, and Google, they have the playlist, which I probably should have done. But as you know, now my playlist is actually my book, because virtually every HOA that I do becomes a chapter in my book. So then that kind of becomes my playlist at that point. Not the traditional playlist for sure, but conceptually it does the same thing, because we are putting all the chapters of my book in a category, if you will. So I had to throw that in there just not to totally confuse folks, or maybe I've confused them more.
If the viewers want to see an example, okay, no, let's not do that.
Not on
they
YouTube.
Could go to my YouTube.
Let's show some other things. Let's not take them to YouTube right now.
The other thing I think you have started using, though not as much as I would like you to use.
I know what you're going to say.
Calendar.
How organized do you want me to be, Vivek?
It's a my attitude towards being organized and being chaotic is simply this: you organize few things that you need to, and then you keep the other things that you want to be creative. Those are the things that you keep chaotic, if you will, because being organized often impedes creativity. Creativity goes against going through a process. So my view is things that you need to do, many things in life you need to do in a organized manner. For example, you do your exercise classes on a regular basis, and
You're
this
only
phone
allowed to
is
answer that if it means you're going to do some business. If you're going to do some business by answering that call and not hearing a customer complaint, writing some business.
hope yeah, okay. um yeah, that's the calendar is the second tool which you have started using, though not as much as I would like you to use, but you are using it. What else? You are using the Google Sites quite effectively.
Let's go to Google Sites. If you would screen share, let's go to Dreaming with Entrepreneurs first. We won't spend a lot of time there. Well, and we'll explain the elements. I will talk from a marketing perspective why I did what I did, and you certainly can address from a development perspective how all the pieces fit together.
Yeah, I'm doing a screen share, so viewers must be seeing the website now.
I just pinned it. Is that what I should do?
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, this is your dreamingwithentrepreneurs.com website. This is hosted on Google Sites, and okay, here's the people have some people have wrong opinion about Google Sites. They think that when website is hosted on Google Sites, the URL will have Google in its name. Not so, not true. I have highlighted the URL there, and that's what you would see: www.dreamingwithentrepreneurs.com. It has no Google in its name. So that's the website. It has 2 videos on the homepage. So David, you drive, you explain where do I want to.
Okay, if you go up, what I did, first of all, I am a video person. Video marketing today is essential. You have to do video marketing to stay in the game. Just the amount of hours how people communicate, without going into a lot of detail, every single minute of every single day, there are 300 YouTubes uploaded. So every minute, there are 300 YouTubes uploaded. Why? Because that's where people are going to get information, to be entertained, whatever it is, why they're going. There's no, it's not extraordinary to think that YouTube is the second largest search engine. I don't know how close it is to Google, but with Google owning Google and Google owning YouTube, they dominate by far the search engine world, and it's important. So early on in my business strategy, I wanted to have a YouTube presence for the business. The top video there does the Entrepreneur's Pledge. And that's a pledge that I do about every 6 weeks because it describes better than anything I've ever done who I am, what I am, why I am. By the way, Vivek, I don't know if you know this or not, but I started National Small Business Week by doing the pledge.
And for those of you who, for whatever reason, cannot watch a YouTube, here is the text version of the pledge.
Okay, then
that's the text version.
There it is. Good job. Then the video right underneath the Entrepreneur's Pledge is I explain what is happening on the website. And I found that to be a better way to communicate than just necessarily have the tabs and let the user of the website, try to figure out how all it ties together. I tie it all together in that second video there. And the third portion of the homepage, you want to scroll down a little bit. I wanted to say thank you. I wanted to bring acclamation, if you will, to 3 people who have had a big impact on my thinking as an entrepreneur and as a small business owner. In the upper left-hand corner, there's Brian Tracy. And I had a wonderful opportunity to actually spend 30 minutes with him, just he and I. Next to him is Michael Gerber. Michael Gerber is the author of The E-Myth, which he wrote 27 years ago now. I had an opportunity to spend 3 days with Michael Gerber, and there's other folks there, but spend 3 days with him in his dreaming room in California. And then at the bottom is an individual who I just met probably less than 3 years ago. His name is David Amerlin. And David, bottom line is probably the #1 name that comes up when somebody thinks about marketing and sales, not just online, but specifically, well, actually, David has a huge presence in marketing and sales offline. He consults with international companies around the world. He's in great demand. But David is the expert inside of Google Plus, specifically with semantic search, as you see there. But semantic search is changing. And I've devoted 2 chapters so far in my book in discussions I've had with David. So he has absolutely had a major impact on my thinking. So that's kind of how I pick those. It tells my story. It shows you, it gives you an idea of my thinking, what I do. And we do have, I lost it for a second. Yeah, there it is. If you want to join our Google Plus community, Vivek created a button there, and that will take you to our Dreaming with Entrepreneurs in Google Plus community. We have about 1,050 members in our community, and it's not just about the community, the numbers of people. Yeah, it's nice, but it's secondary to the idea that there is ongoing engagement, ongoing collaboration between and among members of the community. Every single day, there are 1 or 2 businesses at minimum who collaborate with one another, and they come together in our Google Plus community. So that's kind of what we wanted to accomplish there. But secondary to that, and maybe primary to that, is Vivek and I were exploring different technologies that we could use to make my book, How Do You Answer These 100 plus questions about your 2015 small business. One of my business objectives for 2015, which I clearly defined as an objective probably back in September of 2014, was the fact that I wanted to do a revision of a book that I wrote 8 years ago. How do you answer these 749 questions about your book, about your small business? That was a workbook. That was a book that I didn't give answers to the questions. I asked the questions and I created white space so that the small business owner could say, geez, that's an important thing for me to think about. I never thought about that. I need to talk to so you make notes. I need to talk to my attorney. I need to talk to my strategist. I need to talk to my technology person, my marketing person, my marketing salesperson, my banker, my insurance person, whoever that person might be. That's what I did. So I decided that in 2015, I was going to start providing answers to the questions. And that's why I decided to do videos. So Vivek, I think we're probably ready for you to click on the video book tab and take us to this page. If you want to go, we describe the book. Now, it's very important to understand, we are not selling a book as such. You can't go to Amazon and buy the book. You can't go to your friendly bookstore in your community to buy the book. What you do is you subscribe to access to this website that Vivek created. And access to the website is $49.99 a year. You can buy it on a monthly basis for $4.99 and cancel at any time that you want without any penalty whatsoever. Each month, we will add at least 6 new chapters. In March and April, we published 13 chapters. And Vivek, I got to get to work. You and I have to I have to do my work. But in the next week or two, there are 6 or 7 more chapters that I would like to have published. I've got the copy that I did HOAs and videos. So I need to, this weekend, I will timestamp as many of those as I can so that you can start creating more web pages on Monday or Tuesday.
Mm-hmm.
Did you put that on your calendar? So you want to explain from a technical perspective some of the aspects of this site and why you chose to do what we did here?
Okay. So far, what you are seeing is actually accessible to the general public. Yes. So whatever is visible here is visible to anybody. But people can come to this page, buy the subscription using this button here. By clicking on the subscribe button, they would be taken to PayPal website where they can pay the yearly or monthly subscription. And then once they do that, they would then become a subscriber. After they become a subscriber, they can come back to the same page and then click on this subscriber button. So what you would get after you click this button is a website which is a secure area of the website, and that is accessible only to the subscribers. So actually, when you click on the continue button that is shown here, you would be asked to key in your email ID and the password credentials that you used to pay using your PayPal account. So you would need to do that there, and then you would be able to continue. That's what happens when a subscriber hits the continue button. But since I have logged in and I have access, and the email ID and the password is remembered by the browser, when I click on this continue button, it takes me directly to the secure area of the website, which is the video book website. Okay. David, you can continue.
Okay. This the first section that you're seeing there is just my introduction to the book. If you were reading a book, you would read this in the first couple pages of the book. But since we're formatting this way, I created this video to explain the concept, explain what we're doing. Oh, one thing I didn't say, all proceeds to the book, from the book, will go to, all the net proceeds will go to the Small Biz David Foundation. And in the next, I'm going to guess about 6 weeks, it'll be at least the first, sometime in June. Sometime in June, I hope to present publicly the Small Biz David Foundation. It'll be a website, very simple, very, very simple website, and it'll look like these two conceptually, and we'll talk about that later. No need to spend any time with it now. So the top part of the page would be the first 2 or 3 pages of any book. And if you want to scroll down a little bit, okay, you just have the intro there. So what you will do once you get into the book, you see tabs up at the top. March 2015 were the 6 or 7 chapters that we published in March. We published April 2015. We published, I don't know, 6 or 7 chapters. We have a total of 13 chapters available right now. And as you heard me say earlier, we will have another 6 or 7 chapters in May. And a couple of those chapters will actually be HOAs that I have done this week for National Small Business Week. So far, I've done 5 HOAs, not including this one, for Small Business Week, National Small Business Week, and they will appear they'll all appear as one chapter. So we'll get that going. But friends of mine who are brilliant in their various fields, you see a picture of, you'll see Jim Schenkel there. Jim did our chapter on business strategy. One other, Vivek, why don't you explain exactly how that box, either above Jim's head or below Jim's head, works? Because, well, it's very significant. It's a very unusual way, and it allows the people to become engaged with the book.
Yeah. Now, this is a interactive book, and as this image explains, below this video, you would find this one, and you can click on something which says read more, which is obvious, and you can click on that and you can read more. You can click on a button which looks like this. If you like the content, you want to recommend it, you would be able to recommend this video book to someone else. You can add your comment, and that is the interactive part. So let me show that to you here. Okay, this is this is an image for illustration, but this is the real thing. So this is the video. If I click on that, it will start playing. If I come down here, and this is the read more button I was mentioning. If I click on that, you would see the timestamps that David was mentioning earlier. So these are the timestamps, and these are, if I click on that, I would be recommending this. If I click on this, I would be able to look at the comments. I can add my own comment if I want. I've already done that twice. So this is an interactive part, and these comments will actually happen on a Google Plus post. So if I open this Google Plus post, so this is the Google Plus post, and that is the comment you see there. Those are the comments.
You don't get any more interactive than that, do you, Vivek? Let me explain those timestamps for people who are not familiar with the concept of a timestamp. I went back and listened to each one of the HOAs that I did, and for instance, that one there says at 3 minutes into the HOA, and you can fast forward that HOA. Jim talks about, he uses the word small business strategy, or I use the word small. It doesn't matter. Those are all key words. Everything that you see in the timestamp will be either key words or key small business concepts. So you can say, geez, I want to learn more about advisory board, or what is an advisory board? At 2356, and also 2039, there is discussion about an advisory board. Let me just, as a side note, say one of the most important things you can do for your small business is to develop an advisory board. People don't do it, but every successful business has an advisory board. That doesn't mean you can't be successful without one, but every successful business has an advisory board of some type. I see also the keywords there, lean canvas. Lean canvas happens to be a concept of Jim's that he's developed. And I highly recommend you go listen to his discussion about lean canvas and how in 1 hour's time, one very simple process, you can really understand what it is that you're trying to do in your business and how you're going to accomplish that particular strategic objective. But Jim has done a great job in developing that lean canvas. So that's how the book works. And it will be just chapter after chapter of those keywords. And it's a very big, when I say 100+ questions, before all is said and done, there'll be thousands of questions answered. And the fact that you can engage in the discussion and say, wow, Vivek said that about that, and boy, what did he mean there? So if you would plus Vivek on a statement that he made in your comments section, he will get a notification that you've asked a question, so you can engage in a conversation with him about that. It's, you know, folks, this is not it's not brain surgery that we've done here. We have just made very, very simple application to technology that is available to you just as it was available to me. And because I have developed a strategic partnership with Vivek, he knows all this stuff. Thank you, Vivek, for knowing all this stuff.
Yeah, it's a case of integrating and simplifying.
Wow. Integrate, simplify life. It's that simple, isn't it, Vivek? But and I want to thank, in the first 13 chapters, I had 25 friends participate in the discussions, and I am very, very proud of these chapters, and I will put these chapters so far up against any other book about small business, because these are folks that I know are experts in their field. And wow, there's a friend of mine, Ben Fisher, and Ben has his hands around marketing technology. That's what he does for a living, and he is outstanding. One of the leading authorities on marketing technology, and he's on a panel there with 3 other authorities, and it was just a wonderful discussion that we had. I see Ronnie Bincer. Ronnie is the #1 authority in all of Google on Hangouts. He is the Hangout master, and I was an original member of Ronnie's mastery group, so I've known Ronnie for a couple years. And if you have any question whatsoever, if Ronnie Bincer can't give you an answer, nobody can. Period. All questions end there. And then I see Jason Weiser. Jason is one of the best marketers that I have seen on Google, and he everything he does is just top shelf. And I'm proud to say that Jason is a friend. And I see Christine DeGraff. Christine, I think you knew this about Christine, Vivek, that in one point of her life, she was actually writing code. You knew that about Christine.
Yeah, she used to be a programmer, and I don't think now she does much.
I think I asked her that question in that discussion. I think I asked her that, and I either asked her then or another discussion that I had with her, and her response was, "Yeah, she still writes an occasional line of code, but that's not what she does anymore." And you know what, Vivek? She did it on a challenge. She had a boss that came to her one day and said, "Christine, I want you to learn how to write code." This is a true story. She went out and she bought a book, and she read the book, and she started writing code. Your entrance into that world was a little bit different, but so that's essentially the book, and we made a wonderful business decision to present this book, this video book, as you are seeing. People would rather watch. Unfortunately, I think they'd rather watch a video than read. And it doesn't matter how you get your information. There's just so far we've got over 13 hours of small business information published, and we'll publish another 6 or 7 hours this month. Every month, more chapters. So thank you, Vivek, for it was your recommendation, your thought that, David, why don't we develop the book, the video book, as a Google site? Because if you remember, I was looking at some other technologies, and things are getting very complicated. And you said, David, integrate, simplify life. And here we are. Okay, I think one last thing that we need to talk about, and that is the directory. I want to publish a directory for the Dreaming with Entrepreneurs in Google Plus community. You and I actually had kind of a first discussion about it today. And why don't you share what your thoughts about it are and how we're going to execute that?
Before I do that, I think you have still pinned me. So if you unpin me, let's have the screen go to whoever is talking. Okay. Google Apps also provides you a wonderful facility of creating a form and collecting information from the visitors or whoever you share the form with. It's an equivalent of a paper form. You can hand over a paper-based form to somebody, ask them to fill it in and hand it back to you. Whereas this one, it's an electronic version of that. And there are a few things which are happening automatically. And when people fill in the form, the electronic form, and hit the submit button, all the data that they entered automatically goes into a spreadsheet, a Google spreadsheet. And an example is there actually on your website already, which is not exactly used for a directory, which is what you are trying to do now, but this is a example of contact us form. So people who want to contact David can fill in this form. Let me do a screen share. So contact us is a button here, and if I click on that, you would see this form. This is a form. People can fill in their full name, their email address, and the message. And this is done in such a way that spam bots cannot send spam to you. So this is a mechanism which would prevent that. So by default, this will be the option that is that gets selected, which is I'm a bot, just give me your email address. That's what a spam bot typically does. They don't say that, but that's what their intention is. They just want to get your email address and start spamming you. So to prevent that from happening through the website, this is a protection. So similar thing can be used for your purposes, which you are mentioning. We want their details about what they want to appear on the directory. So we need to have fields like this, and then probably have a spam bot protection thing similar to this, and then we can share the form. So here what happens is, actually, if somebody comes to this form, fills the data, and then hits the continue button, then a spreadsheet gets filled, and David, you would get an email saying somebody has filled in the form. And also whoever actually fills in the form gets an email saying, thanking them for filling the form. All that happens without any of us doing any extra work. So all that happens automatically. So that the tool is provided by Google, as is mentioned here. It's powered by Google Forms, and this would be the technology that we would be using for your directory. People would be required to fill in a few bits of information. Then they submit the form, and then you would get an email saying someone has filled the directory submission form, and then we can take it from there.
Good. It'll be, well, I already know what the information is, so I will provide you with those fields,
Mm.
and then you'll create the form. That's simple.
Mm-hmm.
Just to put things in perspective, and there's going to be maybe 5 fields maximum. How long will it take you to develop that form?
It depends, maybe 5-10 minutes. But for example, on this form that you just saw, the email address that somebody keys in, that there is some checking going on behind the scene. It needs to be a valid email address. So that check actually happens there. So similarly, if you want somebody to key in their I mean, the point is, unless they key in valid information, the submission will not be successful. So what happens is, even if we provide the form on your Google Plus community page, or even on your website, and even when the form is accessible to the general public, unless they give a valid data, it would not be, things will not move forward. So
you can actually,
those validations you need to, I mean, we need to work out what they are, where they are required. They may not be required. For example, for full name, I realistically I cannot do any validation at all. So I assume when they key in some name, I assume that is their name. So those are the few things that need to be worked out. Other than that, it should be 5 to 10 minutes.
and you just said something that piqued my interest. You would be able to put that form inside of our Google Plus community.
Yes,
That's
it
where
would be
I
a
want,
link.
That's where I want it. I mean, it makes the most sense. Rather than create something else in another place for people to go, we'll put it right in the community, and on that drop down menu on the left hand side of the page, it has all the various categories. We'll put form, we'll put the directory or whatever, and they'll click on that, and then the form will be right there. Perfect. You're pretty good at what you do, Vivek, man. You got it all down. Okay, well, let's we could go on forever because we're having so much fun putting all this together, and hopefully we make these services, all these things that we're talking about, they are available to any members of the community. If you want, and it's very simple. The concept is Vivek started it, and he developed whatever he did for himself, and he was sharing what he developed for himself with me. We put my content, my branding on top of whatever Vivek developed. so that we could be responsive to what it is that I wanted to do, what I wanted to market, what I wanted to sell. And if it works for Vivek and it works for me, there's no reason why it can't work for you. So I'm going to conclude this HOA right now. And we will have our final National Small Business Week HOA tomorrow morning. So watch for it, and it'll be a summary of the week. I don't have a guest tomorrow, but we will summarize the week with the guests that I did have, and we have some wonderful stories of entrepreneurship that were told this week, and so we'll share those with you tomorrow in our summary of the week. My name is Small Biz David, and we'll see you the next time, which may very well be the best time. See you then.